1, 2, 3, 4. I see a quorum. Kristen Runge said she would not be attending or would not be able to, letting you know that.
Yep, I had heard that.
Tracy, do you have the announcements?
I do. Want me to start those?
Yeah, ask Chris, but I think it's after 6.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This is the June 8th Plan Commission meeting via Zoom. All panelists, we ask that you remain on mute unless speaking. Your video should be on, but your mic should be off. All panelists who are not committee members should mute their video to remove distractions. All attendees, audience, will remain on mute unless they raise their hand during a public comment or public hearing portion of the meeting. We do not have any of those tonight, is my understanding. All motions will be taken with roll call vote, and a recording of this meeting will be available 24 hours after the meeting. Just contact the Village Hall for details. And with that, I'll hand it over to Chris.
Okay, I'm going to call our meeting for June 8th, 2020 to order. Roll call, please.
Chris Zellner,
Here.
Kristen Runge, Phil Willems, Brad Zeman, Brian Malish,
Here.
Chris Thomas,
Here.
Brian Wallace.
Here.
Okay, first item we have on the agenda is our minutes for May 11th, 2020. Look for a motion for those.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Brian Wallace,
Second.
second by Chris Thomas. Any other comments in regards to the minutes? If I see your hand raised, I'll know. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Chris Zellner,
Yes.
Brian Malish,
Yes.
Chris Thomas,
Yes.
Brian Wallace,
Yes.
and the minutes are approved.
Okay, first item under new business, discuss action on proposed annexation of land approximately 1.297 acres owned by Tipperary Farms LLC located at the northeast corner of County Highway Q and Peaceful Valley Parkway. Kevin, are you introducing?
Actually, I'm going to have Brian introduce this.
Okay.
So if you turn to page, or Tracy, can you put on page 8 of the packet?
Got it?
Tracy, it's not up on your screen. It's on your, unless you got two monitors going, we just see your blank.
Okay, hang on. Still new at this. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
So if, thank you, Tracy. If you look at, so the corner of County Trunk Q and Peaceful Valley Parkway, there is a rectangular box there identified as area to be annexed. So that's the property to be annexed. This is about as straightforward as annexations get. You know, I think all of the land to the surrounding the property is in the village already. So this is a town island at this point. Right now, I think there are 2 homes on the 2 separate parcels. There's, I think, an expectation that the property may be redeveloped in the future. But right now, all that is requested is for the land to be annexed. When it comes, you know, assuming that the land is annexed and the staff recommendation on page 5 of your packet is to make a motion to recommend approval, it would be put into the A1 Agricultural Holding District for zoning purposes, which is consistent with the village code. And as noted in the cover sheets, right now it's the lots are used for residential purposes, but the comprehensive plan shows them as future commercial. And so if and when the land is redeveloped in the future, that's the expectation that it would be redeveloped to.
Okay, Kevin, any additional comments? Kevin, any additional comments?
Sorry, no additional comments.
Okay, commission members, we'll just go around and see if you have any questions. Brian Wallace?
No questions.
Brian Malich?
Nope, no questions.
Chris Thomas?
No questions.
So my only question would be, Kevin, is there any reason that we would not want to approve this? Anything that would be sitting there, any costs that we're not aware of that would be to the village?
Not that I'm aware of, Chris. Maybe Brian has something. We will have a very simplified pre-annexation agreement or an annexation agreement that goes along with this at the board level. So the terms as part of the annexation will be included when the annexation is taken up by the village board.
Okay, anything from Westport at this point?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, so then we'd be looking for a motion to approve this? Do we have
Correct.
that?
Yeah, there's a recommended motion on page 5 of the packet.
So I'll make the motion to recommend approval of the Tipperary Farms LLC annexation request to the village board, with the land being placed in the A1 Ag Holding District for zoning.
Okay, motion by Brian Malich. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chris Thomas. Any other questions? If you do have one, raise your hand, please. If not, roll call vote, please. Tracy?
Chris Elner,
Yes.
Brian Malish,
Yes.
Chris Thomas,
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of possible new meeting time. So Kevin, do you want to take this one right off the bat?
I can introduce it, Chris, but and just for the other Plan Commission members, and we should probably reach out to the members that are not here, is that we had a request by a meeting with the school board, president, vice president, and the superintendent, and they had raised some issues regarding and Tom Wilson from the town of Westport was involved with that as well. They had raised the issue that they heard from constituents that there was some overlapping between the school district meeting and the Waunakee Plan Commission meeting. And we explained that it was important to the village and to the town that those two, that our Plan Commission meeting and our Joint Planning Commission meeting be back to back, and that it gives a good coordination between the I hear like maybe somebody should mute out. Is that?
Brad Zeman. So Brad, if you
Water.
want to, thank you.
Thank you. So the request was if we could move our meeting up a half an hour. Brad, could you mute out your we hear you paddling your feet. Thank you. Sorry. So the request was that so if we could start at 5:30, their meeting's not till 7, so that would give us time to finish up our meeting prior to them. That's what they asked us to do, and we thought that our meetings used to be at 5:30. Sue Springman used to have trouble making those meetings at 5:30, so we moved it to 6. And so we want to ask our commission, if there's any objection to moving it to 5:30. Trying to find another night becomes very complicated because there's other meetings we have to coordinate with. And for this one, we're not just changing the Plan Commission or the Joint Planning Commission. We'd have to change the Westport Plan Commission and the Waunakee Plan Commission meeting. Chris, anything more that you can add from the meeting we had? You're muted.
So really just, this comes down to making sure that the public has access to the different boards and bodies. And I personally don't have an issue going to 5:30 from 6 o'clock, but when people signed up for this committee, it starts at 6 o'clock, and I didn't want it to be a situation where it caused you issues because you couldn't make it for work reasons. So that's why I said, I'll propose it to the committee to see how the committee feels about it. We have everybody here right now with the exception of the 2 other village board members that are on the committee. So I guess I'd want you guys to weigh in if you have an issue with moving to 5:30 from 6 or not. And I'll start with you, Chris Thomas.
No, I have no issue with that.
Brian Malish,
I'll make it work.
Brian Wallace,
Make it work.
Brad Zeman. All you have to do is unmute now. Brad Zeman, would you like to weigh in? I think we lost Brad. So we'll just leave it at that then. So right now at this point, Kevin, we just need to weigh in from the other board members. Can we make a motion to move it to 5:30 contingent upon the other board members approving or the other 3 committee members approving?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so I'll make that motion then to approve the meeting time moving to 5:30 moving forward, contingent upon the 3 committee members that are not present this evening to vote. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Brian Malish. Okay, Brian Kleinmeyer, you just popped in. It kind of scared me, no offense, because I hadn't seen you yet, and you're right in the middle for me. Did you have a comment?
Well, I think you
vote.
probably need to push this to the next meeting because you can't they're not going to be able to make a vote. I guess are you anticipating that these other Plan Commission members would essentially vote up or down on this, or are you just looking for staff to get a consensus from the other three? And if Kevin talks to them and each of them individually tell him that they're okay with moving to 5:30, then essentially this motion carries through.
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. I was going to say the same thing.
I mean, technically, we have enough votes that we could just make the vote and not even take it into. They had their opportunity to be at the meeting and they weren't here tonight. But I still would like to hear from them with it. Just I think all of you would feel the same way. So we've got a motion and a second. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Chris Zellner,
Yes.
Brian Malish,
Yes.
Chris Thomas,
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carries contingent upon the rest of the members' approval.
Okay. And Kevin's really just going to be informing them of the situation and seeing if there is an issue. And if there is an issue, we'll come back with it. Otherwise, we'll move it forward.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Next item we have then is update on for the joint plan, which is what we just discussed in our first item. I don't think we need to have any other discussion further on that.
There is, I'll just add, Chris, that there is another agenda item added to the Joint Planning Commission that came on late that didn't make it onto our agenda, but it is strictly an initial consultation. They will not be taking any action. So it'll likely be coming back to this body at some point in the future. It's
Okay.
not on our agenda, so we can't really discuss it.
Yep, got it. Okay. Then we have one more item. Brian Wallace has his hand up.
I have one question though, more for Kevin. I'm assuming that this change to 5:30 does not affect the joint plan timing?
Correct. That'll stay at 6. As
I'll
I
make
know
a
they have,
motion to- Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say they have some members that have a hard time making till 6.
Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
Motion by Brian Wallace,
I'll second.
second by Chris Thomas. Roll call vote, please.
Chris Zellner,
Yes.
Brian Malish,
Yes.
Chris Thomas,
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I will just point out that that is the fastest Zoom meeting we've had since we started Zoom meeting on all the committees I'm involved in. So well done, everybody. Enjoy your evening. Thanks, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.